dragonflies everywhere. Over 100 of them. But anyway, I'm Nathan, and this is Diamond M. I think as of today we've reached 955 subscribers. That's crazy. Never would have believed it. We've got like 140,000 views, I think, and a ridiculous amount of watch hours. I end up making too long videos most of the time, so that probably accounts for it. It rained about 1.5 inches last night, so it makes it kind of hard for working on projects, but makes for a real good day of editing videos. I was digging around and I found a bunch of videos I had recorded. Pretty much all of it's just random junk, but some of it you might find interesting or even useful. Outside of old trucks and lawnmowers, I work on all kind of stuff. Pretty random stuff, actually. Some of it's interesting, some of it not, and may even find some of it pretty useful to yourself. I end up taking apart a lot of stuff just to see how it works. Sometimes even tearing it up to find out, but that's what it takes sometimes. Helps you become even better at working on stuff. Now, a lot of these videos, they don't warrant themselves their own single video. Most of these projects are too short to even worry about making a video of. So I've decided to take all these videos and edit them down and take the useful bits out of them, maybe even some funny and stupid parts, and put them in one single video. I don't know how often I'll make these, but over the last 9 months I've accumulated a bunch. I've probably got enough for a couple of videos. I'm gonna turn it into a little bit of a series. I think I'm gonna call it the Random Bits and Projects of Life. Favorite YouTuber's old Ant's Pants. He's got something similar. He calls it Odds and Ends and Side Jobs. Those end up being some of my favorite videos he has. You learn a lot of stuff you wouldn't even remotely think you would. Not only about the projects, but about the person videoing them, I guess. That's why I need the John Deere down here. Big mower would get stuck. But you gotta keep it mowed for it to dry out. This stuff's 5 and 6 foot tall. Man, check out the current. We got a good 1.5 inches of rain last night. Normally there's like 2 inches of water there and 1.5 foot right now. Man, all my trails are growing up. I gotta clean them up. We'll have to get to that at some point. Look at all the snacks. None of those are quite ripe yet. I didn't see that when I first walked down here. Small snake problem around these parts. Gonna have to be careful. I gotta come get them materials soon. Muddy mess. That was not kind to the driveway. Nothing but clay and iron ore. Yeah, I reckon I'm gonna have to order me a load of dirt. Ain't gonna quite make it to getting us a dump trailer set up. Kind of as a side note, kind of started us on a little bit more of a storage shed. I like it to be a shop, but I got more junk than I do space. I've been working on this over the last few months. It's gonna be a 21-foot square kind of building. Everything to this point has been pretty much free stuff. These arches were like an old greenhouse. It's pretty decent sized tubing. This is sure gonna be strong enough to hold up 10, especially with 5 of them in 21 foot. I can't say that I'd recommend building out of them because it's hard to set it up. And these ain't square, you know, they kind of come down at an angle. But it's gonna look pretty good when we're done with it. Concreted the post in good. It'll be a dirt floor for a long time, but sure get the job done for now. I probably ain't gonna post a whole lot about this. Maybe a lot more once we get further down the road. It's just something random I've been working on. I got the purlins down the hill that go on it from another project, but about all I gotta do now is buy some tin that go on it. Tried finding used stuff, but everybody wants way too much for the used stuff. I'm just gonna end up buying new tin. Probably better off anyway. Well, we're back again with our old Kawasaki. This is the one that came off of that lawnmower project that we repowered with a Kohler. Now, in that video I showed the hole in the block, but a few people showed some interest in wanting to see it tore down, so I got somebody that could use a couple of parts off of it, so let's see what happened to it. What's behind door number 1? A few pieces of the rod. I don't know if you can see that rod in there. I was trying to pull it out, but the piston keeps rotating. You can see the hole in our block right over there. And it's like galled. It's got a bunch of galling marks on there. When I turn this motor on its side, I think about a quart of oil poured out of it, so I reckon we're going to say she was running low on oil, but it don't look like it had any oil leaks, so. Alright, we're back here to apparently the star of the channel, the big dog. It treated Dad pretty well at the end of last year, finishing up the mowing season. But he was having to jump start it. So we got us a new battery. We got us a new starter because that old one's a little bit worn out. And then he was having trouble with the tires. Start of mowing season now, so let's get this thing in top shape. Need to get me a little 1/4 inch electric ratchet. Come here now. Little Tecton set. Love it. Got stander up here, deep and shallow. Metric down here. It's got the 1/4 inch handle. Universal and a 1/4 inch bit adapter. Super handy. And it does have a little junk tray, which is not good around me. I usually keep adapters and a bunch of hardware and crap that I need to get rid of. But anyway, it's hard to see it on camera, but the top bushing of the starter ain't that great anymore. And then this pinion gear kind of moves around a lot. I think it had something like 800 or 900 hours on it, so the starter sure won't hurt, especially since we're putting a new battery on. I think the new one was like 40 bucks, so can't go wrong. I didn't buy a Kohler, but I'm sure this one will do us fine. Starters on these, you got a little bit of adjustment with the bolts, so we're just going to tighten it up for now and put the starter on it and make sure it turns over good. It looks pretty well lined up right now. I like that. I'm trying to get better about taking care of the stuff we use all the time. You know, you end up getting where some of it gets kind of down on repairs, and you end up spending more time keeping it going than you do mowing grass. So if you think about it, that's probably one of the most used things you got besides your vehicle. And everybody tries to buy the cheapest thing when it comes to grass mowing. You spend so much time on it, why don't you spend an extra $1 or $2, you know? My friends and everybody ask me all the time what lawnmower brand they should get, which one's best. You know, nowadays they all use about the same dang parts anyway. The hydrostats, the engines, you know, I mean, they're all the same thing. One just looks a little bit different than the other mainly. Some will have their flaws in some areas, and other mowers will have their flaws in others. You just kind of got to size the mower to the size yard you get, honestly. Sound like the neighbor's gonna beat us to mowing. Let's put a little protector on it. Not that I've decided that this really helps a whole lot, but give it every fighting chance we can. Let's see if this starter engage is pretty good. That'll work. Sounds like we might need a solenoid that clicks here and there. Now normally it ain't good to use this on tires, but for something like a lawnmower, perfect. These tires don't have holes in them, they just will not stay up. Of course, we're gonna put about 8 in it. That should do us on these. Of course, get it everywhere too. Can't forget that. Now we just gotta roll it around and mow with it, and doesn't hard to do it. Let's get the other one. Been about 6 months. Let's see what it'll do. New starter and battery. It's a whole lot better. Well, I think it's safe to say we gotta buy some blades for this thing. Throw a brand new mud flat down, keep from scratching up the bar. Ooh, boy. You talking about a rig, son. Pretty hefty sized grinder for only being a 7-inch. This is a 4557. Man, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but Dad picked this up at a garage sale for 30 bucks. Crazy. Look how thick that cord is. Dad's got a weird look on buying some crap here and there. I do not have that look. He can get some smoking deals sometimes. But anyway, we have a project or two coming up, and this will be super handy. He said it was working when he bought it, and then I borrowed it and can't get it to work. Ain't even used it yet. You can plug it in. Hit the trigger all you want. I even spun the arbor a bunch and still won't do anything. He said it was working fine, but I think he was running a planer in the shop and ended up covering it in planer dust, so Hopefully we just got something hung up somewhere. I was hoping rotating the arbor would free up some dust on a brush or something, but don't seem to be the case. I mean, it looks used, but still in pretty decent shape. Maybe it just needs a cleaning. That's what we're hoping anyway. Even at 30 bucks, we can justify throwing a few parts at it regardless. I actually need to do some research on what I'm supposed to have for this, but the only big grinders I've used is the big 9-inch Black & Deckers. All you old hands know what I'm talking about. But the dang arbor on it's the same as a 4.5 inch, but it's like 1.5 inches long. Crazy. But all that came with it was this spacer looking thing. No threads in it. And it is tight on that. Like, you have to put a lot of force to put it on there. So I grabbed my 4.5 inch pieces, but something tells me that ain't quite right. You know, you run it down and it's still got a ridiculous amount. It's 3/4 inch poking up still, so gotta find out what all I need for that. And I mean, this big old grinder makes a 7-inch look tiny. So, but it's a shame because you can't put a 9-inch because it turns 8,600 RPM. So, I'm sorry, 85. There's just something I ain't learned yet about it. See what it looks like. Man. Kind of hard to get the right angle. You can see the bare copper and then just a little bit of black where the brushes have been riding. But those brushes ain't even hardly used. They're still way out. We still got 3/4 inch worth of brush you can use. Yeah, this thing ain't hardly been used at all. Both sides. Both of them look pretty darn good. But these big grinders, you can usually replace the brushes in them pretty easily, actually. Just fold your spring out of the way, pull the wire off of it. Look at that. Really good shape. Lots of life left. Be careful with the wires there. Big old clunky switch there, boy. Cord seems good. Nothing out of the switch though. I guess let's go ahead and disconnect the wires going to the motor, because they're like a solid copper. If you keep moving them, it'll break them off. I can tell that already. Drop the screws. There we go. And it feels pretty okay. Looks like we could take this back piece off. Take our magic pry tool. Careful. Doesn't seem to be moving it. Oh, there was a metal plate that's supposed to be like a wear plate in the bottom, I assume. That was up there holding it back. That's why it would work like that. Oh, I done it now. I finally got it. Took about 15 minutes off camera. A little metal strip fell in the wrong spot. Why it was to where it would fall out, I don't know. Seems to work just fine now though. You can even hear the switches clicking it now. So, I don't know what caused it to do that. I'll tell you what though, I'm going to end up just going ahead and ordering a switch for it. Obviously there's going to be an issue with this one. Why'd y'all let me do that? Put the switch in backwards. Gotta dig my head out of my rear end, I guess. Try one more time. Drain relief pull back up here. Got a pretty decent cord on it. Something's gonna get pinched. Even the motor, the fan blades is clean in there. Now let's plug it in. That's what I'm talking about. No idea why that switch hung up like it did, but we'll get one on order. Until then, we got us a few projects to do with it. I gotta see what happens when you blow up a 7-inch cutoff wheel. I don't have any luck with garage sales or auctions. None at all. Let's go get after something with that. Well, if you'll remember, we put this big Byers underbody box on top of the flatbed. Been loving this. It's been helping me out a lot. Before, I had a big aluminum box that I had in the back of my dually bed. Never had trouble with any of them aluminum boxes sweating. But something about these underbody boxes, that thin steel, maybe it's because of the color it's painted, but this box sweats bad. It's what controlled the hot on us, and I had a pretty decent bit of water in there, but it's starting to get my tools a little bit rusty. If I open it in the morning time and close it, then a little bit later in the day, it's starting to get a couple of my wrenches a little rusty, and I don't do that. I'm kind of weird about my tools rusting. You know, they can beat each other up, but we don't do rust. This is the first underbody box I've had, so I ain't had to deal with this sweating problem before. The big service beds I've run, I never really had condensation issues on those, but this box is getting kind of bad. So the big service beds I've used had vents and stuff in them. I thought about drilling holes in it or putting a vent in it, something. You know what, I'm gonna try out some of this desiccant. This happens to be rechargeable with quotation marks on that. It's supposed to be able to put it in the oven or microwave it. We're gonna try it out. This may not be the way to do this, but we're gonna try it. Looks almost like airsoft BBs. So I don't know how much we should put in there. That's a pretty decent sized box. I mean, that's probably too many, huh? I don't know. First time using them. I've used oil paper before and some measuring tool boxes, but now of course these sitting out here in the air is just going to absorb moisture. So the longer we keep the toolbox lid closed, the better off we'll be with this but we'll try it. This will be a long-term project, but keep y'all updated on that. For right now, all I can literally do is throw it in the tool bag, I guess. If it works out, we'll build us a bracket or a bucket or something to put them in. If I continue to have trouble with it, I guess we'll have to build like a pressurized vent like a big service body has. I don't know. Apparently the door seal seals pretty good for it to be condensating like that, so let's try that out. If y'all have any more advice on sweating toolboxes, let me know. I'm not sure this is going to be a good way to go or not. We'll find out. That might actually make them tools rust sitting that on there. Just set it in the bottom. I hope you've enjoyed all this random stuff. There'll for sure be plenty of it, I know that. I want to thank all the recent subscribers and all of you that's been around with us for a minute. If you haven't already, there's a bell notification button down by the subscribe button. If you're subscribed to us, if you hit that, it'll be a little bit better about getting you notifications when I upload. I know some people I'm subscribed to, it ends up never sending me notifications because I never clicked that button. But anyway, let me go see what else I can tear up today. Thank y'all for watching.